Okay, I'd like to call this public information meeting to order for the Township of Westland on May 25th, 2022, and I will start with roll call. Councillor Goyda.
Present.
Councillor Spoulos.
Present.
Councillor Bailey.
Present.
And Councillor Balmer.
Present.
The purpose of this public meeting is to inform and provide the public with the opportunity to ask questions or to express views with respect to development proposals. Councillors are here to observe and listen to your comments. However, they will not make any decisions this evening. Township requests you please notify by email planning@westland.ca or by phone at 519-763-1226 extension 4. If you wish to be on record and would like to be notified of future hearings and decisions regarding these applications. Please note the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. As the chair, I am informing you that when council makes a decision, should you disagree with that decision, the Planning Act provides you with an opportunity to appeal this application to the Ontario Land Tribunal for a hearing. Please note that if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to the Township of Westland before the decision is made, person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Township of Westland to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In addition, if a person or public body does not make an oral submission at a public meeting or make written comments to the Township of Westland before the decision is made, a person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. You may wish to talk to Township staff regarding further information on the appeal process. The Planning Act requires that at least one public meeting be held for each development proposal. The format of this public meeting is as follows. The applicant or agent will present the purpose and details of the application and any further relevant information. Following this, the public can obtain clarification, ask questions, and express their views on the proposal. Members of the public are permitted 10 minutes each to ask questions and express their views. This time limit is imposed to provide each member of the public an opportunity to speak. Council will then have an opportunity to ask for any clarification questions. The applicant and county planning staff will attempt to answer questions or respond to concerns this evening. If this is not possible, the applicant and or staff will follow up and obtain this information. Responses will be provided when this matter is brought forward and evaluated by council at a later date. So we have specific proposal number 1. This is a public meeting involves an application by Audrey Meadows for a rezoning application D14/AUD to add a special policy area to section 9.8 Westland local policies of the County of Wellington official plan and amend Schedule A7 Westland to facilitate residential development on private on-site services on approximately 14.5 hectares of lands abutting an existing county residential subdivision. Audrey Meadows. The zoning bylaw amendment proposes to amend the Township of Westland's new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 to rezone the subject lands from agricultural A zone to a specialized zone category, rural settlement residential zone, RSR, to establish zone regulations specific to the proposed development. Would the clerk, Ms. Whitefox, please have the owner/applicant join the panelists to explain the proposal.
There we go.
All right, Mr. Stovall, nice to see you.
Mayor, members of council and staff, thank you. I'm really glad that I have my technical help here to get me all ready for the Zoom call because I don't know what it is. It's the Zoom and boomers. It just doesn't seem to really work so well. So I hope you can hear me. And I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well as well. So I'm Rob Stovall. Company's called Stovall & Associates. And I'm here on behalf of Audrey Meadows, which is George Good's company and the Good family. And we're here to provide an overview of the Audrey Meadows application and an update of where we are and to answer any questions, concerns that we can. And if we can't, we'll make a point of taking a note of it and coming back to council and try to address any concerns at that point. So with me tonight, I think, is Mr. Good and our engineer, Paul Ziegler from Triton Engineering. And Andrew Pentney said he would join us as well. He's our hydrogeologist. His company is called Groundwater Science. Ray Kurtz, who is our stormwater engineer, wasn't able to attend, but he assisted us on our project, and so did an ecologist named Chris Hart. And also, we've had some assistance from our legal counsel, Mr. Wilker. And what I'd like to do is just start off about the reason why this has come up. We see it as a need. There's a need for additional housing lots in the township. And we think that there is a need that we have a local developer who needs lots. He has local contractors, a local company. And we've had the opportunity to review the county reporting, and it's our opinion, respectful opinion, that the township needs additional lots to provide a reasonable amount of growth for the future. And this balanced growth is needed not just from a municipal tax-based perspective, but also from a local employment jobs perspective. There's a big multiplier effect associated with these types of construction projects. And we think that the township also needs this to satisfy the provincial policy statement provisions for having available supply of housing lots for the future. So we think this will check that box as well. Now, my client has been in the housing business for several decades. He's built a beautiful, had the opportunity to build a beautiful subdivision just to the south of the lands that we're talking about today. And he knows that there are very few lots in the township. We've reviewed housing lot supplies, and we also think that there is not just a need for it, there's a demand for it, and there's a low supply. And we think that this application will help to fill that gap for the township, or partially fill the gap. Now, my client has a long tradition of building houses in the township and in the county, and he's simply requesting an opportunity for his family business to continue and to have the chance to build these additional houses that we're talking about. Now, the proposal is for a 22 lot subdivision. It's similar in many characteristics to the existing type of development pattern in the local area. It's a large lot subdivision to be serviced by private wells and private tertiary septic systems. It's fronting on Victoria Road, and Victoria Road was improved by Mr. Good on the last subdivision. And we have our engineer who looked at the safety of the road, and he has a report on that. And this will also be looked at in more detail at the next stage of the development application. If we could bring up the conceptual plan, that might help illustrate what we're talking about. Is that possible? Great, very good, thank you. So it's a 22 lot proposal. There's an entrance onto Victoria Road. And one of the key features here is that the development is well set back from natural heritage features. And we also have provision for a large stormwater management block. And then there's an area that could be used for open space systems and ecological enhancements. It's our view that the development respects natural heritage features. It's located on poor quality agricultural soils. There's no livestock barns in proximity to the site. We think there'd be no impact on adjacent agricultural operations. And as I mentioned before, it will be serviced by private bedrock wells. That aquifer is known to be productive, good source of good clean water. And the aquifer is protected by a silty overburden with substantial thickness. And this type of development is similar to what has happened in the township. And the reason for it is the township doesn't have municipal services. If there were, then we would ask to hook into municipal services, but there isn't anything like that available. So the plan we've identified potential for open space uses subject to the wishes of the township. And we've protected the environmental features, and those will be zoned appropriately. I think it's the natural environment, it's a protection zone. So the details of the application are as follows. We've got an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. But we don't have a draft plan of subdivision application into the county. And we did that for a specific reason. It's to stage the approvals. So this is the first stage, and it would set out the principle of development. And then the second stage would work on the refinements to the development through detailed lot alignments and detailed study and say of stormwater management or a well test, things like that. Now, the purpose of the official plan amendment is to recognize the subject lands as part of an existing rural settlement and to permit the development to infill and round out that rural settlement. And the zoning bylaw amendment would be to a rural settlement residential zone, and that closely aligns itself with the provisions of the Hamlet residential zone. And a key feature of the zone is we've asked for a holding zone provision. And that provision provides protection to the township to ensure that all matters related to financial and servicing and environmental and any other requirements are completed to the township's satisfaction. That H wouldn't be removed until the township is satisfied. And I mentioned before, the environmental lands will be protected in a special zone, and that would have a setback on it as well. So in terms of precedent, we reviewed the county official plan, and we noted that there are several site-specific approvals in the plan. Special policy area 7.6 recognizes the Mini Lakes adult lifestyle community. Policy area 7-2 recognizes the Mill Creek residential area. And PA 7-3 recognizes the Reed's Heritage Lake area. And there's a special policy for the Puslinch Lake area as well. And throughout the county, there's also special provisions. We noted one up in Wellington North for recognizing rural clusters. So this has happened in the past on special applications. And for our proposal, we've just used the term PA 7-9, and it says that for the areas described as part of lots 17, 18, and 19, concession 8, Township of Puslinch, notwithstanding any provisions in the plan to the contrary, these lands may be developed for residential dwellings. The dwellings shall be serviced by individual private water and wastewater services. Pursuant to policy 6.4.7, this development is deemed to be residential infilling of an existing rural settlement. The development contributes to the fulfillment of the local municipal growth strategy, and the development shall be implemented through zoning and a plan of subdivision or plan of condominium. In terms of the issues, we've had substantial reporting and feedback from the township's peer reviewers and in particular the GRCA. And to date, it's our view that we've satisfied the technical comments for this stage of the study. And we've noted that there are additional requirements for the next stage of the study, and that would be the draft plan approval stage. My client is committed to working with the township and the township staff and the peer reviewers to address any concerns. And like I said, specific design standards will be set out at the next stage. In terms of discussions with the public, Mr. Good has had discussions with the residents of the existing subdivision. And we've included them in part of our water testing program. And Mr. Good has had an open door policy, I guess as open doors you can get during the COVID. So if someone addresses a concern to him, he tries his best to get back to them, and we'll continue to do that in the future. And I would say that the final thing that I'd like to conclude on here is that we had a good meeting with the planning advisory committee, and they passed a positive resolution subject to this supporting in principle, but subject to conditions, and those conditions would be addressing hydrogeology, traffic, consideration for rear lot buffering from the adjacent development in conformance with provincial legislation. And I think that the aspect of the rear lot buffering and the open space systems and all those things, those would be matters that would be addressed by, say, a landscape architect at the next stage in the study process. So thank you. That's our overview. And like I said, we're here to try to address any questions or concerns that the public might have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stovall. All right. Are there any persons who have questions, require further clarification or information, or wish to present their views on the proposal? And I guess, Ms. White Fox, they have to state their name and state their address as well.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so Ms. White Fox, please advise whether there's any attendees watching the meeting would like to provide comments or ask questions regarding the application.
So anyone in the attendee section, if you'd like to do this, you can use the raise your hand feature. It's located at the bottom middle of your screen. Right, you have someone raising their hand, Mr. Chair.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline Gleanan and I'm at 10 Elizabeth Place in the phase 1 of Audrey Meadows. My first question is, what's the timing on this project if you receive all the approvals? When would construction start?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we're definitely a few years down the line. I would say we're at least a couple of years to get the approvals in place. And then after that, I think they would like to get going as soon as they can, but we're still a few years away yet.
And you mentioned access from Victoria Road. Are you also planning to have a road connecting phase 1 and phase 2?
That's one of the ideas that we'd bounced around in the concept plan. I think it would connect it well, but you know, it's conceptual. I think we'd work with township council and staff to determine what they would like to see as well.
Obviously, as current members of phase 1, we worry about traffic increasing through our neighborhood. There's a lot of young children, so that's just one concern we have. Also along those lines, it's getting to be a pretty big subdivision. I'm just wondering about amenities such as a park with a playground.
Right, Mr. Mayor, I don't know of any, I don't think there's any plans in the existing subdivision for a park or a playground, but we had set aside an area within this, conceptually within this land for open space features. So as a possibility. And we would certainly like to talk to staff and council about that and work with our landscape architect too to come up with something that's nice and safe.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of children in the neighborhood already, and then with 22 new houses, of course, there's sure to be more. And we also get a lot of people walking through our neighborhood from the surrounding area. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if there's any other attendees, if you'd like to just use the raise your hand feature, again, it's just at the bottom of your screen, just in the center. Oh, I thought I saw a hand raised, but I think it's gone down again.
It's Mr. Sloot.
If you're having any technical difficulties, I can just unmute you if you'd like an opportunity. I'm seeing quite a few hands being raised and then put down right again.
Why don't you move over, Mr. Sloot, and just ask him verbally, please?
Sure.
Can you unmute him?
I'm just prompting him to unmute. Mr. Sloot, you are moved over if there is anything that you'd like to say or question.
Okay, moving back, yeah. Try Mr. Sherwood, Courtney.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. It's Joel Sherwood, 88 Old Ruby Lane. My question has to do with the overall septic performance and groundwater and surface water concerns in the area. Notably, there's some septic issues currently at hand that need resolving outside of the builder and the engineering design, which is a burden on the homeowners. And I wonder if this will bring on more burden to the groundwater, surface water, and then stormwater management in phase 2, and how this might affect us in phase 1.
Mr. Mayor, through you, I don't know how to address that question because I'm not aware of the septic performance issues. I have my own septic system and I'm required to go through my own. We have every year there's a requirement for getting it maintained by I think it's Waterloo biofilter that we have, but I don't know what your setup is there. So maybe that's something that we would be best to follow up with the resident and try to hammer out the concerns and how it can be addressed, if it can be addressed.
That's great. Thanks. Thank you for that. Overall, I think the size of the lot and the irrigation, the landscape design would lend itself to a lot of developed land. And so I think there's some concerns overall, but thank you for addressing that.
Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any more hands being raised, but again, the raise your hand feature is just at the bottom of your screen in the middle.
Give them a moment to locate that button.
And Mr. Sloot again raising his hand, so I might try him one more time, just moving him over.
Sure. Is it possible to unmute him when he's in the gallery on your end, Ms. White Fox?
I can try. I'll move him back and then just see if that works.
He's having technical difficulties. He's just sent me a message to tell he's unable to unmute.
There you go. Tell him to hit spacebar. Spacebar. Mute. No. Good.
Mr. Sherwood has his hand raised again.
Sure.
And I don't recall if Mr. Sherwood provided his address. I may have missed that.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Thanks for fielding my second question. I have a number of neighbors that are subject to a lot of flooding every spring with a lot of standing water in their backyard, which is a bit of a hazard because it is quite deep with the young children. I'm wondering if existing grading in the area will be addressed as part of phase 2.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We're aware of that, and we have our engineers at the next stage. They're going to be looking at that mechanisms to deal with the water on the site. So yes, we're aware of the issue, and we're going to try to deal with it.
How's John making out? Can he call me? And I can just play it through the speaker. I don't know if I don't think I have one. I do. I'm calling. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. We'll make sure they can hear you. Okay, Ms. Whitefox, can you move Mr. Sloot over, please?
Hello,
You guys hear him? Okay.
hello,
Yep, they can hear you. Just state your name and your address, please.
okay. Sorry, my name is John Sloot. I'm hoping you can all hear me. I apologize. I guess I'm a little of the old school. I thought I could do this on my own. It's not allowing me to unmute myself for some reason, and I have to go to settings. So anyway, I apologize for that. This is all new to me, and anyway, my name is John Sloot. I'm a resident of Pushhunch Township here. I'm also I work in this township. I've worked in this township. Actually, my first job, I was 16 years old when I started in this township. I've lived in this township for 37 years. I'm owner and operator of Sloot Construction Limited in Guelph, and I work and I've built a lot of homes in Pushhunch. I've been blessed that I've been able to work basically in my backyard. I've never had to commute. I don't know what that is. So it's been a blessing for me and my company. It's been a blessing for me and my family. I would like to thank Rob for his comments, and I would totally agree 100% that this township needs more access to more available land. I think it's good that we can all, if there's land here that we can build on, that we can live in and work on, I think it's good for everybody. It's good for the county that supports the schools and supports the infrastructure. It's good for the township. It's a good tax base support. But it's also good for local citizens. It creates jobs. And just like I said, a job like mine, a job that is close to home, which is basically what we all want. Nobody really wants to commute. And like I've said, I've been blessed. I've been able to do that. I have family. My family lives. My immediate family lives in the township. To me, that's not normal. But so I'm blessed that way. I would like to encourage that can become a norm, and not that our young people today can live and work in their own community rather than have to go somewhere else. And that's becoming far harder to do because there's nothing here. So I'm supportive of this subdivision. I would like to remind council and all of the citizens of Cushwich that there's a little village called Arkell, and I'm a little passionate about Arkell. That's basically where we live. I've supported this township, and I've supported Arkell for many years. I would like to remind that in 2006, we put a planned expansion for the hamlet through the county planning process. We've gone through the proper channels, and we are still awaiting for a blessing or approval. I can't understand it, why this is happening and why it's been stalled for so long. Because I agree 100% with what Mr. Good is trying to do, is that we need more, not less. So I just don't want to have people forget where we've been waiting for 18 years to get to the point where now you're trying to again, and I would bless this 100%, but let's do things properly and in the right order. I have a few questions, but it's not, my biggest concern is that we don't forget about existing hamlets. I would like to remind everybody, if this is a plan of subdivision, it's not considered a hamlet. And yet we're trying to call it a hamlet, but really it's not a hamlet. The county won't, I don't think we'll call it a hamlet, but anyway, I want to be supportive. I would like to say that we need more support for continued expansion of our township, because I think it's good for all. When I first started my business, years ago, I looked forward to the future. And I have been blessed because I've been able to support myself, my family, the people that work for me, the local trades that work for me. They're all local people. They're not outside of people. But what I've come to realize that I never even thought of before, because I've always been looking to the future. But what's happening now is that there's a new generation of young people coming through. These are guys that are people, girls and guys that used to work for me when I first started. And now those same people are starting on their own, and they're looking forward to the future, and they have the same dreams and goals that I had 40 years ago. And we can't deny these guys by just not allowing future development. I never thought of that before, but in order to keep the young people in our own community, to keep our children here, our grandchildren here, we have to create work and access to available work for them. So that's what I like to say in closing. Two things, basically. Let's keep the doors open for the future, and let's not forget about some of the hamlets that approvals have been waiting for a long time. Thank you.
John, could you just state your address? I'm not sure if you did, and I don't remember.
My address, 4726 Watson Road.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have another hand being raised.
Sorry, it's Jacqueline Galena again. I just want to just make a comment that part of the beauty of living in Puslinch is having the big open space and having lots of room. I don't want to see us being developed into lots of communities. That's just a comment to the last comment.
Anybody else has any questions or comments? Please raise your hand. All right. See any? Does council have any clarification questions regarding this application? Is there further information which the sorry, jumping the gun. Councilor Bellmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Stovall. I appreciate your presentations. I always enjoy your presentations, by the way. And I just had to address some of the concerns, and I have a question about a bit of process as well. I think you'd probably recognize that future councils did recognize the need for growth in the township, which is why during the update of the current zoning bylaw, large amounts of land within the hamlet of Aberfoyle were zoned for future development to ensure there was still some capacity within that hamlet. So I think that concern is not going missed here in the township to make sure there are lands available for future development. And I appreciate you mentioning all the other similar examples, PA 7-X's such as Mini Lakes, which was to convert a trailer park into a plan of condominium and these sort of things. So I'm glad you're making everybody aware of other examples in the township. But I have a question about the process you've chosen to use here. Well, the county is going through a comprehensive review of the official plan and updating it and expanding it, and looking at hamlet expansions, which personally I always support first, an expansion of existing hamlets. But I'm just wondering why you chose to do a site-specific official plan amendment to this, as opposed to working through the municipal comprehensive review process to have this recognized in that update as a settlement area and this expansion area as part of that settlement area. Maybe you can help me understand why this process versus the extensive public process that's in place as part of the updated official plan.
For you, Mr. Mayor. I guess that goes back in time a little bit. We've been bouncing this idea around for quite a while, probably. Well, I don't know if it was in advance of the MCR when we started, maybe, I can't remember. But there were so many uncertainties that were going on at the time with provincial legislation and with COVID and other things too, that we just decided that it was the best business decision to get something in sooner as opposed to later. And it's a kind of a timeline thing too, like how long will it take for these MCRs to get approved? And so there's a lot of uncertainties there. So this was one way, at least for us, to get a little bit of a hand on a certainty. So I don't know if that's a very good answer for you, but that's my recollection of it.
Thank you. That's very helpful, because it's always important for us on this side of the situation to understand the challenges that you face in your side. And so helping me understand that part of that decision was the unknowns. You have enough unknowns to deal with, that was just another unknown. And if I could just give you one parting gift for today, with regard to any concerns that come up with ponding of water on the existing development, you may recall, as you and I were both there, That was, you can put some of that on our shoulders. That was part of the plan that I think both you and the municipality thought might work well. It was to recreate the natural conditions, the natural stormwater infiltration conditions there, to try and make the development as natural as possible. So if you like, please feel free to share the burden of that responsibility with the municipality in terms of thinking it was a good idea at the time. And if it's not working now, then we'll certainly have to be involved in coming up with a solution with you on that. So there you
Hey,
go.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Bulmer. I think that we have options and we have good technical assistance on our team to be able to help us and work with the township's consultants to find probably a good solution to the water situation and also to help promote infiltration. So that's what the next goal, I think, is going to be. So we're well aware of it, and I think we're eager to get moving forward on it too, to try to address those things.
Thank you very much.
Any further comments from council, questions or clarification? My only comment would be that it is a young neighborhood, and I don't want the proposal to assume that the municipality would want the parkland dedication fees versus open space and parks. So that's important. If this is a little bit removed from the Aberfoyle hamlet, that you know, parks and things like that for young families are important. So I declare this public meeting closed. Council will take no action on the proposals tonight. Staff will be reporting at a later date with a recommendation for council's consideration. If you wish to receive further notification of this proposal, please email or call planning@postage.ca or by phone at 519-763-1226 extension 4, or contact township staff during regular business hours. Only those persons who leave their names will be provided further notification. If you wish to speak to the proposal when it is brought before council in the future, you must register as a delegation, the township clerk, prior to the meeting. I appreciate everybody attending tonight, everyone in the gallery, the comments provided. Thank you, Mr. Stovall and the good family.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
great evening. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.